endeavor to tolerate the urges of the mind. This is Rupa Goswami's first teaching. Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam. So vacho vegam means to tolerate the urge to speak. Tolerate the urge to stop chanting and go and speak to someone. Manasa krodha vegam, manas veg is the force of the mind to stop chanting. And especially the mind is pushing us to engage in worldly karma. So all these things have to be tolerated. Without increasing our chanting, we cannot overcome the mind. Powerful, powerful mind. The conditioned soul has many anarthas. And in Krishna Samhita and also Chaitanya Shikshamrita of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he compares each of our anarthas to a different type of demon in Vrindavan. So, only Krishna can kill all these demons. That means only the holy name can kill all of our demons. But Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that unless every day the devotee will spend some time in Savikalpa Samadhi, he cannot overcome the anarthas. So what does that mean? Yesterday we spoke about the Samadhi, when the devotee is in the stage of bhav and praying. So there are many different types of Samadhi. But the preliminary type of Samadhi comes actually in Nishtha, in the state of Ekagrata, one-pointedness. So, of course, Nishtha comes after Anartha-nivritti. Anartha-nivritti is not over at the time of Nishtha, but Nishtha is Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utamashloki Bhakti Bhagavati Naishtiki. Nishtha is when Acharyas have said 75%. So there's still 25% of anarthas are there. But the 75% of the anarthas have cleared. In other words, the anarthas have cleared enough to have a steady mind. Sthir citta. So, in that stage of Nishtha, Ekagrata citta, one-pointed attention, then this is called Savikalpa Samadhi. It is like, let us say, not a deep trance, but a shallow trance, in which one experiences the state of sakshitva, of being, I am not this body. Okay. Now, one may raise the question, if Nishtha, in the stage of Nishtha, you have Ekagrata, you can be in the Savikalpa Samadhi, then how will you go through the Anartha-nivritti to get there if you need the Savikalpa Samadhi in order to get rid of the anarthas? Understand the question, Kaz? Does everyone understand the question?
Yes.
Yeah? And so the answer is this, that in Nishtha, the steadiness of our consciousness, our Ekagrata, is a consistent thing. We stay in that peaceful and contemplative, reflective state. Whereas before that stage, when we're in Anishtita Bhajana Kriya, we can only experience it for some moments while we're chanting. We're chanting a long time, and as we're chanting, we may experience this sudden rise up out of the mind and objective, seeing the mind from the objectively from the vantage point of the soul. And then afterwards it disappears. You see? So there's, in the stage of Anishtita Bhajana Kriya, unsteady practice of bhakti, there are some glimpses of what it's like to be in Ekagrata, in your peak moments, Because when there's unsteadiness, you have a peaks and the troughs, you tend to go up and down. So at your peak moments when you're chanting the holy name, then you experience what it's like, the Savikalpa Samadhi. And then even though you cannot remain there for a long time, but it leaves a sanskar, it leaves an impression of what it's like to really not be this body, to really be a spirit, to really be eternal, to really be outside of the limitation of the material mind, to really be Krishna's servant. So it leaves an impression. And now impression competition begins. Right? Because you also have impressions of being the body and being the enjoyer and being in the modes with the frogs and the toads, like down in the lower gunas. So those impressions are there, and this higher impression that came from just a moment of Savikalpa Samadhi. So then what you have to do? You have to practice every day. Because every day, the easier it will become to go into that state. And you'll collect more and more sanskars, impressions of the Savikalpa Samadhi. And as the impressions of the Savikalpa Samadhi become more and more and stronger, then the impressions of I am the body and sense gratification and the enjoying mood, bhogya, bhav, these all become weak and weak and weaker until your impressions of nishta, ekagrata citta, focus, one-pointedness, steadiness, they overpower the material impressions, and the material impressions become weak. And then one can give up all anarthas, overcome all anarthas. And this is why Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, if you want to kill your demons, you cannot do it but the holy name, that is Krishna can do it. But you have to spend some time every day in the stage of ekagrata, savikalpa samadhi. And then, slowly, you can overcome the habitual thought patterns of bodily life. Understand? And so this is why it's extremely important to have sadhana, that is a daily, disciplined, undistracted, focused practice. Every morning. If you don't do it, then that day is lost. It came and it went. Gelo ye divase na asibe ahara ebe Krishna ki upaya Sri Radha Krishna Padakamale. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is praying. Every day that passes is gone and it will never come back. Oh Krishna, what will be my remedy? So don't let a day go by, because every day is priceless. Every day has a number and it's a limited edition. When it's gone, it's gone. It's not coming back. Gurudev used to say, Apachataya hota kya, jab chiri achut gai ket. It's a saying in Hindi. It means, what's the use of crying when the birds have come and eaten all your crops? You didn't put a scarecrow. You didn't protect your crops. You just planted them and went away. You were careless, neglectful. Then the birds came, they ate all the crops, and you came back, oh, my crops, alas, alas. So what's the use of crying when the birds have eaten all your crops? The meaning is this. What's the use of crying? After many, many years at the end of your life, when all the days were squandered without actually having a deep sadhana. So don't be that person who's crying that the birds have eaten his crops when you become old, when your hair is white and your face is wrinkled like a prune, like a raisin. Now you all look so young and beautiful. But time, Kal, never stops for anyone. So don't be that person who's lamenting at that point. Now you have to make this decision, because it takes time. It takes time. Once devotees are trying to buy some land in Mumbai, and the local, you know what it's like in India, you try to buy land and you negotiate with someone, And then you buy and you get the deed. Then you find out there's 5 other people also have the deed for the same land, and then you're in court for 30 years. So anyway, they're trying to buy some land. The joys of real estate in India. So they're trying to buy some land, and everyone is trying to cheat them. And the devotees came to Prabhupada and said, Srila Prabhupada, all these Indians are cheaters. And Prabhupada said, oh, and am I a cheater? He said, no, you're not a cheater, Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, actually I am. Because if you knew what you had to go through to become Krishna conscious, you would never join this movement. Prabhupada, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. 16 rounds, go back to God. Very clever. Very clever. So, this is okay. This katha, we will speak later in the festival. There's a type of katha for the Kanishta Adhikari. And there's another type of katha for the Madhyama Adhikari, and another type of katha for the Uttam Adhikari. So we cannot be forever in the first class. We cannot be forever in the society for Kanishta consciousness. We have to come to the at least Madhyam conscious. Try for Madhyam conscious. So the katha is a little bit different. It's a little bit harder to digest. It's a little, I have to be mature and face reality. And that means every day I have to do sadhana. And we kind of know it because just look. Sankhya purvakana magana nati bhikala vasani krito nidrahara vihara kari vijito chatyanta dino jayo. See our Goswamis, how they've been glorified. They completed their 1 lakh or 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs Harinam every day, singing so many songs every day, giving so many Dandavat Pranams every day. In this way, they utilize their entire time in hearing, chanting and remembering. They conquered over eating and sleeping, like this. How did our acharyas do sadhana? Of course, they're eternal associates and they give the most extreme example. But still, they are the ideal, and we have to try to move towards that ideal. So try to have a very strong sadhana every day. Just a few just practical points, simple things, kind of mechanical. If you are sitting in the lotus position, then you can sit up straight. And then when you start to lose awareness of your body, you'll not flop over. In the Vedic times, like if you see the iconography of Srila Vyasadeva, the deity of Vyasadeva is always in the Gyan Mudra. You know the Gyan Mudra? You know why that's called the Gyan Mudra? Why? Because there are 3 gunas. And the soul is attached to the 3 gunas. But how does it come free from the 3 gunas? He has to bow down to the Supreme Lord. So this is the Gyan Mudra. And he's giving a blessing with the other. And he has one like a band around the legs like that. The yogis do that so they can go into trance for 1,000 years. And he kind of holds them up straight, goes around the back and then around the front like this. So if someone is in a lotus position or has one of those bands, then they can just park the body and go to Krishna's Leela. Don't worry, it will be there when you come back. So, but if you're uncomfortable in that posture, just sit like ordinary cross-legged, then you should just elevate your lower spine a little bit. Just have, like you can see I've got one cushion under here, just elevate at least about that high so you can sit with the spine straight. Because if the spine is bent over, then your prana will not move around well. And when the prana is not moving in a healthy way because you're not straight, that will make the mind slow down and you'll feel sleepy and start to sleep. So try to have good posture and be straight. And the best way to do that, if you're not like a super flexible yogi, then just elevate yourself a little bit. It will help very much. Srila Gurudev, in his commentary on Bhagavad Gita, he's quoting from Vedanta Sutra where it says, without asana, you cannot do dhyan. Can't do meditation without asana. That is not for the very advanced Vaishnavas, like you can see our Gokshodas Babji Maharaj is all hunched over like this. It's not a problem for him. because he has ascended, he's already ascended. But for those who still have bodily consciousness and are trying to ascend, then to sit in a proper way is very helpful. It's very helpful to be disciplined in this way. Buddha said, you do Ganan Mudra like this with the left hand, because the left hand has a life of its own. It will just start wandering here and there, scratching and just sit, don't move, and chant. So anyone who's heard Srila Prabhupada chanting knows how important this is. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Sit properly. Hare Krishna, right? You all heard that recording. So try to follow these things. They're small things, but it will be helpful. So you can raise your hand. You can have a few questions. Yes, problem.
I have a question in regards to, maybe it's a little superficial, but breathing also while chanting. I'm just going to reference YouTube because I watched the devotee as someone who sent me the video, and so on the exhale, like you're supposed to technically, at least from a pranayama standpoint, you're supposed to breathe in through the nose. So prior to that, I was just breathing out and in through the mouth, so I could, because I like to chant out loud. Mm-hmm. So do you have any recommendation and whatever acharyas say in terms of breath, or is it actually necessary, or just
yes? No. Everything? It's not really important. Understanding Prana is quite important. Understanding what Prana is and how it works is quite important, and it's helpful to know it. And that will be this evening. Morning class will be Guru Tattva. The evening will be on the subject of Chitta and Prana, and how knowing this very, very basic physiological thing in the beginning, it will have applications later as you go deeper and deeper and deeper into the Siddhanta, that if you did not understand it in the most basic sense, the higher Siddhantas won't be clear. So we'll discuss that in the evening. But you see, the yogis do pranayama because the prana is the interface between the physical body and the mind. So, let's say if you're a policeman and you arrest someone and you're interrogating them. So those who are trained in psychology, when they're interrogating, they watch the breathing of the person, because if his breathing speeds up, he starts to breathe a little bit more quickly when he's being interrogated, he's probably guilty because he's panicking inside. Because when the mind becomes disturbed, the mind starts fluctuating more. Then, because it's connected to the prana, the breathing speeds up. And conversely, if you mechanically slow down your breathing, it will make the turbulence of the mind die down. You see? They're connected in that way. When I'm giving lectures in yoga studios and to introduce these concepts, then, I'll do this in the evening class. It's like a trick that teaches the connection between the prana and the mind. So, but anyway, that's the connection. The prana and the mind, they're connected. If the prana is moving very quickly, the mind is also oscillating. Or if the mind starts oscillating, then the prana speeds up. The breathing speeds up. So, there's a connection there. So the yogis, they're doing arohapanta, the ascending process. So they try to mechanically control the breathing to make their mind calm down. And but for devotees, it's not important. It's not important at all. Just try to chant clearly and try to hear the syllables of the holy name and try to surrender to Nam Prabhu. And the things we went through yesterday, just adjust yourself to begin with. Chakshi, Kalatit, Drishya, Anutap, Jivana Sandhi, Vastu Shakti, like this. These ideas just, so you're not under the cloud of material thoughts. Just adjust yourself properly in relation to the holy name. And then just chant and hear in a very humble mood. And then, when Nam Abhas comes, your whole body will relax, it will take over your posture, and it will take over your breathing. And your breathing will be very, very smooth. And you'll be chanting as you are breathing out, and you'll be chanting as you're breathing in. And you won't even be conscious of it. Don't worry about it. Nam will do everything. Nam will do everything. Yeah, so don't get mechanical. Don't get into like a yogi mindset. We're not like yogis. You know, the yogis, they're mechanically, by their own effort, trying to remove the coverings of the soul. But the gopis, they take bath in the Jamuna, and Krishna comes and steals their coverings. Right? Yamuna tatachara gopi vasanahara. So this is Vastrahan Leela, and one dimension, it teaches us the difference between Bhakti and Ashtanga Yoga. Bhakti Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. We don't try to remove our coverings by force. We take shelter of Krishna, and Krishna comes and steals our coverings. You see? So, don't be too worried about the breathing. Be more concerned about chanting the holy name in the proper way without offense. When Namabhas comes, automatically you feel any pain or discomfort. You know, because asana means sukham stiram asanam. This is the definition from Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. It's quoted in Gurudev's commentary on Bhagavad Gita also. So sukham means, stira means still, without fidgeting. Stir, without fidgeting. And sukham means at ease. So you're not moving, but you're not feeling a pain in your hip and a pain in your knee and a pain in your neck. Like you just feel so comfortable that you can forget about your body completely. So that is asana. And so automatically, if you slowly become free from the offenses and Namabhas is coming, you start to become disembodied. You feel the disembodied experience. And then there's no discomfort at all coming from the body. Naturally, you sit up straight. The breathing becomes very, very slow and regular. And you can chant on the ingoing breath and the outgoing breath also, like this. So don't get too mental about it. As soon as you get mental and mechanical about it, then you'll lose your focus on what's really important, Krishna. Raise your hand. You can have one more question before you have a little break. Yes, now Singapore.
I think I can speak only for myself that when I come to festivals and I'm in Sadhu Sangha and I hear great advice like this, I feel enthusiastic, like absolutely, I can definitely do this. Beginning for sure tomorrow, there'll be no problems. I'll be fully committed to making this endeavor. And then when I'm separated from that Sadhu Sangha, just by the experience of my own mind, maybe even the physical separation is there, but not internally, but still I'm thinking I'm separate. Then all of a sudden, all the resolve disappears. I can't be steady like I desired to in the moment when I was hearing the good advice. So how could I not lose that?
Yeah. Well, good question. And the answer, it touches on the question you asked yesterday as well about, well, you know, I also have a family and this and that, and how can I do bhajan? So, first of all, the first teaching of Rupa Goswami, Vacho Vegam, Manasa Krodha, etc., it all begins with Vacho Vegam. The main thing that steals our driti, our fortitude, our determination, our mati, our state of absorption is prajalpa, loose talk. It's the main thing. Asat varta vesya vishaja mati sarvasya harani. Raghunath Goswami Pad said that the prostitute of mundane talk, it steals our mati. Asat varta vesha vishaja mati sarvasya mati means your focus, your consciousness, your higher consciousness. You do sadhana, you try your best to do sadhana, and you get this state of mati. And then the material talk just steals it away. And she's compared to a prostitute. You know why? Because when a person meets with a prostitute, they see, oh, she's really beautiful, she's so nice, she's so charming, and she's really affectionate, she really loves me. Because that's their job, right? They know how to do these things. And so at the time when a person meets with a prostitute, they feel really happy, but then afterwards they find that their wallet is empty. And then they feel really sad. You see? So mundane talk, you know, just like shooting the breeze, is just like that. When you do it, it feels kind of happy. But then afterwards you notice that what you worked really hard to gather together, it's gone. Your wallet is empty. In other words, what's really valuable in your life, it's gone now. So Bhacho Vegam. One should be dear, one should be sober, and be very selective. Don't speak unnecessarily. If you have to speak about Krishna, or speak about the subjects of how we can all perform our services in a better way, and with more quality, like this. And it's when we start to shoot the breeze and just become in a very relaxed and casual way, what we're actually doing is we're slipping back into our previous samskars. That instead of being everything we're doing being very deliberate and very thoughtful, quite calculated and aimed at attaining our goal, we just like slipped into autopilot. You see, our sanskars took over, just talking about this and that and complaining about stuff as well. It's like very low energy. Even scientists, they did tests on the brain, and they found that when you're complaining, then it uses the least amount of brain sugar. You know, it's the least energetic state of the brain when you're complaining. So like complaining and moaning about things, that's practically like the screensaver on your computer. You know, it's like try to save the battery. So it's like it's a zero effort mode of thinking. It's a zero effort mode it's the lowest effort mode. Just screensaver comes on. Oh, what about this? This devotee did this, blah blah blah, and like that. So and in the material world, that's like the staibhav of most people. That's their basic. That's their basic sentiment. There's a statement there's a saying in Sanskrit. Ninda rasa sada pibet. Always taste the rasa of ninda, criticism. So we don't want to do that, and it spoils everything. So we have to try to be conscious. That means do everything intentionally, with the intention of attaining our goal. And so anukulyasa sankalpa partikulyasa varjanam. Surrender means I accept in my life everything that's favorable for attaining my goal. And what is unfavorable for attaining my goal, I reject it. And that's why association is very important. Selecting our association very carefully is very important, because good association encourages good habits. And bad association encourages bad habits and slipping back into habitual thought patterns. That's the sanskars of our not so devotional aspect of life. So now, this is why, and now in reply to your question and coming back to your question simultaneously, Lord Brahma prayed to Sri Krishna, Jnane prayasam udapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukaritam bhavadiya vatam. You know this verse? Anyone? Does anyone know? Stane stita srutigatam tanuvam manobi ye prayaso jitatitopya sitaistu lokyam. When Ramananda Rai was speaking to Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu was rejecting everything. He said, Eho Bhaya, this is external, tell me something more. But when he got to this verse, this is the first time Mahaprabhu said, Eho Hai, Agikewa, this is okay, but still go further. This is the first thing accepted by Mahaprabhu. And it's Lord Brahma saying, those persons who, Jnane prayasumudapasya, they give up the attempt to get knowledge by their own endeavor. That is arohapanta. They give up trying to understand Krishna's opulence by their own power, but rather they just listen. Jivanti sanmukarita bhavadiya vartam. They bow down and they worship the words coming from the lips of pure devotees. They dedicate their whole life to hearing Harikatha. And then that Krishna, who is Ajit, cannot be conquered by anyone. He becomes conquered by that person. Why? Because Krishna is only conquered by love. So it indicates that by hearing Harikatha very seriously, really bowing down from the heart to the speaker of the Katha, the subject of the Katha, the Shastra of the Katha, the place of the Katha, the cooks who are cooking for the festival, everything in connection to the Katha is worshipable for us. we really appreciate the value of the Katha. For that person, love for Krishna comes in the heart and he is conquered. So Brahma is saying, Sthane stita shrutikatam tanovan manobi. Sthane stita means stay, stita, be situated in sthan, in the place. So here it has two meanings. One meaning is, Sthane stita, if you're a grihastha, just stay there, you don't have to change anything. If you're a brahmachari, just stay there, you don't have to change anything. If you're a sannyasi, stay there, you don't have to. In other words, the upadhis by which the soul is covered are not relevant, because bhakti is completely transcendental. So don't get into a mental state of trying to make all big adjustments. Sthane stita shrutigatam. Stay where you are, it's okay. But listen, be in sadhu sangha and hear deeply and you'll get prem. And so that answers your question. And then in relation to your question, sthane stita, the other meaning is, stay in that place where the Harikatha is. So if the Harikatha moves somewhere else, move there. Go there. If you go somewhere, go there. So there are two ways you can interpret the sthane stita. So one is, try to be as much as possible in pure Vaishnava Sangha. And the other is that the power of Harikatha is such that one's material upadhis and situation is not relevant, actually. It's not part of the equation. It's part of Maya, actually. Part of the upadhis of Maya. So it's not necessary to make any adjustment in that regard, but be dedicated to hearing Harikatha. Yeah. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo.